Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Fallout Bar after night 9 now. Flying by this Premier League season, but night 9 of the Premier League from Berlin this evening. Early start, even earlier finish because we missed the game due to Michael van Gerwen missing out with a shoulder injury, which I believe is also going to keep him out of this weekend's Euro Tour event as well. As ever, though, joined by Mr. Carwyn Evans. How are you this evening, Carwyn?
Well, what a night, wasn't it? I'm very well, thank you. Getting over the birthday celebrations this week and seeing the magic that Berlin had to offer tonight. And who would have thought it? That it only took a trip to Germany to get the bullet firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it was. Well, I'm going to call you out immediately on your message from the chat this afternoon. You've managed to talk this into existence by telling Stephen Bunting that he needed to spend less time on Google Translate and more time practicing. At which point he went and rattled off a night win. So get you for that one.
Yeah, I was what's it called when you double bluffing him? I was psychologically playing the side, but no, fair play to him.
Psychology, get him where you want.
Reverse psychology, that's the one. Yeah, thank you. Language barrier.
Yeah, happy birthday as well for the other day.
Thank you. Yeah,
figured out it was your birthday after I had to use Google Translate myself to figure out what you missed to put on your story that you'd shared.
So, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's give it a Google. Yep, it is his birthday, so I dropped you a little message. Yeah, we've got one less game to get through tonight. We might get finished at a relatively reasonable time this evening.
Unheard of.
I know. Be in bed before certainly should be in bed before the turn of the night. If we're not, something's gone horribly wrong at this point. And we'll start off at the beginning. And first points of the Premier League season for Stephen Bunting. Greatest Showman's mentioned in the chat that should get the Champers out. Absolutely not. When he got his first points beating Nathan Aspinall, there's no chance of Champers for that one from me. But yeah, really, really good game to kick us off tonight, Carl.
Yeah, and what Bunting did was he's basically once again played like he's played throughout. Just fortunately for him tonight, his opponent wasn't hitting everything out the board, and you sort of felt from early on that the momentum was building behind Bunting, and he was getting more into it. And I think what he did was he got into such a commanding position that if white line fever kicked in, he had enough legs to hand to get the job done. And yeah, fair play to him. As in, I think every darts fan has wanted him to get a win because nobody likes to see the horrible situation of going night after night, not picking up a win and what have you. But credit where it's due was in. Can't really fault the Asp. He's averaged 100. He's not wrong. It's just Bunting was sort of desperate to get over that line, and it's funny how sort of his Premier League could now completely change based on one night of that.
Yeah, literally all of a sudden, like, yes, he's still slightly detached at the bottom, but all of a sudden it feels like there's an opportunity for him if he backs that up with another win next week, or even just making a final next week. Straight away, he's in a position where he's not completely out of it yet. We've still got a long, long way to go in this.
Oh, that's the thing, as in it sort of felt like a horrendous start because he's obviously gone 8 nights without a win, but also because he's rattled off 3 wins in a night, you're like, oh, okay, he's not completely out of it. He's got a lot of work to do, and he's got to back this up. Maybe when all the boys are at the races, but credit where it's due. Was it? He did what he had to win tonight, and that's all you can ask of him. Really, is for him to just get over that line.
Yeah, we've criticised him a little bit recently on missing opportunities early in games where he's had the chance to maybe make it a tougher outcome for the opponent early on by getting over the line. And I think he didn't do that today. He was really good on the outer ring, especially in this first game. I think 72 to go 3-1 up with that on 16. And then he followed it up with a really good, the hold after that, I think was in 11 maybe after that, to go 4-1 up. And it felt like that was the game done there at that point. And like you say, really happy for him to get a win, get points on the board. And it must be awful, especially we know how hard it is, the Premier League, travelling around all the miles and the extra that you're having to put in just to do it. And to do that for 8 weeks with no points on the board, to now have a night win, he's got a trophy to take home with him as much as anything. I think he seems happy about that afterwards as well. It's something like, even if he does nothing else in this Premier League, he's come away with something from it at least. I mean,
that's it. That's it, isn't it? Because only 3 other players have managed to get a nightly win. So for him to join that elitist group this year is something in itself.
Yeah, it's almost like that whole thing of whether he finishes bottom now or not, he's one of the nightly winners. And it does look like the more this goes on that we're not going to see everyone win one. So
yeah, exactly.
Sort of really good for him. And like I say, just it gives him a chance to relax now. He can properly sort of build into this tournament now.
It makes him dangerous now, I think, because that monkey's off his back. He can now play with the freedom of knowing whatever happens, I've got a night to win, and I'm not going to end up with 0 points for the season. I actually think it makes him more dangerous for the next 6 weeks, and yeah, it's certainly
like the next couple of weeks, I think, as well. Like if you look at it now, and unless he goes and wins another couple of nights, you're still looking at this and going, he's not really in the top 4 race yet.
No.
So he can play with freedom because there's no pressure on him he's missed out on points there. He's fallen away in the top 4 race. And then all of a sudden we might see him end up in that top 4 race without even sort of realising it because he's got that freedom to go and play now.
Oh, definitely. And I think the Premier League needed this as well, just to keep all 8 players interested, because last year we sort of saw it with Wright and Price falling behind, and they sort of, by week 12, 13, they just didn't want to be there. They were just going through the motions, and it sort of felt a bit like that. So to now have all 8, not in with a shout yet, but sort of all 8 interested in seeing what they could do. Because obviously, Bunting won't want to finish bottom, even if he doesn't make the top 4. So he's got that target anyway for the next few weeks. But yeah, it certainly adds to the drama. And I think the Premier League needs drama. So the more drama we get, the better it is for everyone.
Absolutely. We love drama and chaos on this show. Even when Dan Sims was not here, we still like to manifest chaos as much as we can. Second game of the night. And it was a bit of an odd one. I felt like Rob Cross got off to a good start. He went 2-0 up. And then, without particularly doing a lot wrong, he ended up on the wrong side of a fairly one-sided scoreline against someone that's not really played any better than him.
No, it was a really strange one, wasn't it? And I'm not sure how A, it finished 6-3, but B, 6-3 to Humphries. As in, yes, Cross wasn't great on his doubles, but he never looked like, as in, Humphries wasn't a world beater on his doubles either. It was sort of, I think it was a bit of not a nothing game, that's a bit harsh, but I think because we'd had the euphoria of Bunting winning the first game, anything that followed, unless it was silly averages, would feel a bit flat. And for some reason it did, even though the stats don't suggest it should have been like that. They're just, I don't know. I find at the moment Humphries' bounce isn't there. There's the magic that comes with him, as in when he was at the top of his game and he was winning everything, he was just the whole performance of the stage, not just the dance, but everything about the way he walked on, the way he sort of interacted with the crowd, with his opponents, that was very, very bubbly. At the moment, I don't see that same energy coming from him, and it's sort of going through the motions.
Yeah, it feels like the fact that he's not playing anywhere near his best is affecting him, and he's taking it to heart and maybe struggling with it a little bit. That being said, this was quite a professional performance from him.
Yeah.
Like you said, there was talk again of it being quite windy in there, and we know that Luke does get more affected by it being windy than other players does, or he certainly lets himself get more affected by it as much as anything. But I think Cross did miss quite a few doubles in this game, but they all sort of came in one leg almost. Like he missed a lot in leg 7, I think it was, to go behind for the first time in the game. And from there, it never felt like he was really got back in the game.
Yeah, no, it's sort of, it's almost as if when he missed those, I think it was 6 or 7, wasn't it, in that 7th leg,
yeah,
he just sort of went, yeah, it's not my day, and Humphries upped it a bit, I guess, and just did enough to get over the line. And I guess that's the thing with this format, is if you do enough to get over the line, then you're still in the race for points, aren't you? And ultimately, that's what it's about, is how many points can you accumulate in a night to add to your grand total. So with the way that events followed this game, getting the win was significant in probably that context more than maybe how we actually performed in this game.
Yeah. Chris Thomas just made a good point about Luke's flights that have been discontinued. It blows my mind that someone would stop making the flights off the world number 1.
Yeah. That's
surely
insane.
it's quite. I know like 99% of people buy all-in-ones these days, and you're a dinosaur if you don't use them. But it does blow my mind that you can't sell enough of the ones that the world number 1 uses to be able to make it worthwhile keep sort of producing them.
Yeah, I find that decision bizarre, and I don't know, I presume it's a manufacturing decision, but surely, even with the rise of Luke Littler, there's still so many darts fans out there who collect things, who buy memorabilia because it's their favourite players. Luke Humphries still got an army of fans, regardless of the fact that Luke Littler is bombing everybody out the park at the moment. But how strange. Yeah, that's maybe one to keep an eye on over the next sort of few weeks, months, I guess.
I mean, they are just a pretty standard flight from what I can see. Like, so I don't think that anything sort of wild, like even if you change to a different brand of still normal flights, I'm sure you'd be able to get hold of something very, very similar. But who knows? We'll see how that one progresses. But he did get the win today, and then it's got to be shock of the night, upset of the night, more so than Stephen Bunting not only getting his first points but going on and winning the night. Chris Dobey absolutely dispatching Luke Littler 6-2. Littler was just miles off it tonight. When he averages 93, you've got to go and beat him. And we said this last week, I think, in the semi-final, that he averaged about 93 in that, and he went on to win it. Chris Dobey this time didn't allow that to happen because he was excellent on the outer ring in this game. And it's not an accusation that's been levelled at him very often recently, but Chris Dobey was brilliant on the outer ring, 55% on the doubles. He scored well enough to keep himself in the game, and when he got his chances, he took them.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's sort of, it's quite funny, really, isn't it? As in, for weeks we've been saying Chris Dobey needs to take the leads he gets on the scoring segment of the game to win legs by hitting doubles. Luke Littler did a Chris Dobey tonight where he scored well, missed too many darts to the double, and Chris punished him, to be fair. There were occasions, I think the 4th leg, I think it was, when they both missed a few darts at the double, and I just thought, Chris, win this leg.
This is your chance here. Win this leg and then you can kick on.
Because even at 5-1, I thought, the comeback could be on, but Littler would have to do something he didn't look like doing. And to be fair to Chris, he sort of handled the lead well. As in, we've seen a few players against Littler just implode and disappear off the darting hockey. But Dobey stuck to his job, and
I think it helped he was able to get to 5-1. I'd have been a lot more worried if it was sort of 5-3 or 5-4 that he got to one leg from winning the game out. But yeah, I think again it was another one a bit like Bunting in the first game. He had enough of a lead where there wasn't really that worry about finish line fever because he had so long and he knew he was going to get more opportunities.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think if you are to beat Luke Littler, that's what you need to do, is to give yourself multiple chances. And especially someone like Dobey, who we know doesn't often average around the 50% on his doubles. But it felt like, once he sort of got that first leg quite easy, or I say quite easy, as in a first visit going towards the double, he seemed to settle into it. And I think that's the thing with Dobey, is if he gets that first double early, without too much faffing around, he settles into the game. And as a few people have said in the chat, if Littler sort of is also missing his favourite double from there on in, then it's certainly a blessing you've got to take advantage of. And fair play to Chris, he did that, because you won't often get Luke Littler at 93 average these days.
No, not at all. It's very, very rare you'll see that. We didn't have a fourth quarter final, although ironically, the fact that he didn't have to play it meant that both me and you got this prediction right, I think, last week. And that was Gerwyn Price making his way through to the semi-final. What a result this is for Gerwyn Price. Like, in that battle for the top four, one of the people that he's up and fighting against to be unavailable to play against him due to injury, giving him a free 2 points is massive, isn't it?
Oh, huge. And fun enough, this is the only prediction in the quarterfinals I got right. The other three I got wrong. So I was quite happy to see a walkover for Price. But yeah, and you know what? The way the results have gone tonight, even though Price didn't get the night win, it's been a very good night for him. As in, to think Cross, Van Gerwen and Aspinall, who are sort of the three closest to him in the table, have all lost at the quarterfinal stage. Is massive in the long term as well.
3 points. It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll discuss the final in a bit and his roaring. But I think there's a specific reason for all that noise. But yeah, for him to also get to a final without having to play any of the top three in the world, despite two of them being in your side of the draw, you'd bite you'd take their arm off for that. And it was certainly a bonus for him, I guess, getting the walkover like that. Although it's worrying when it's so late withdrawal from MVG as well, as in from what I could see on social media, it was about half an hour before the night started.
Yeah, it was very late. I assume that's just him giving himself every possible opportunity to play, but it's not. I suppose it doesn't really matter at what point you pull out, does it? That the way that it goes, it doesn't really matter at which point you pull out, because it's got to be. They're not going to get anyone else in to play instead anyway. So
no.
Yeah, but yeah, apparently it's not great from what I hear, and he won't be playing at the weekend either. Hopefully it's no more long term than that, because obviously all want to see him back and playing.
Oh gosh, yeah, especially in this format. You don't want anybody to, or you don't want I'd like you to be back next week, so it means there are only price benefits, but you don't want the Premier League to be decided upon the fact that MVG's had to pull out with an injury or anything like that. But yeah, it's an interesting point there. Two interesting points from Great Showman. I'll mention the 140 celebration when we talk the final, because I've got a theory. I may be wrong, but I've got a theory, and I think you're right with the tactical, as in he wants to give himself as much time before pulling out, but also doesn't want to give Gezi any more fuel to the fire in his belly.
Yeah, no, I fully get that. Ian says you weren't right. It was 6-0.
That's also a good thing. That's also a good thing for Price, obviously, because it massively helps the leg difference, which
100%. Video Smith asked why can't they have a sub? I assume it would be very difficult on 30 minutes notice to get a sub in for especially in Berlin as well. Like, it might be slightly easier in the UK sometimes. I suppose you could have just pulled any random bloke out the crowd, or woman, anyone. Like,
can you imagine being that player though, or that person? Just randomly gets thrown out the crowd. Come on down.
Out the crowd, absolutely steaming. Like,
C14, dressed as a banana.
Yeah, it's like, here you go. Here's a set of darts that we've just been and bought from, I don't know, the local version of Argos in Germany.
A raffle, yeah.
But yeah, they were €9.99 in Argos. You can have these. You can keep them.
Three different weights.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Nico Springer was there.
Oh, there you go. Well, I suppose we could have had Nico Springer. I mean, I suppose it just doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't make any difference. You can't. If he turns up and wins, you can't not give Gezi the points, can you?
Yeah, I guess that's the that's the problem then, isn't it? I think Price will turn around and say, well, technically, it's meant to play MVG. Points don't make a difference. If Nico gets the 10 grand bonus, I want my points for not beating MVG.
Yeah. So you could just whack Mardle up there or Webby or someone as well.
I'd love that. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the quarterfinals rounded out. Into the semi-finals, and first up, Stephen Bunting up against Luke Humphries. Now, I think this was as bad as I've seen Luke Humphries play in the last 2.5, 3 years.
I was going to say professionally.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
You might not be wrong there.
Yeah, it was a strange one. And it's sort of, I guess, I was going to say sort of not surprised, but then I saw both of them before the start of the game doing the nonsense, not the nonsense, but the wind was blowing and what have you was in. But yeah, unfortunately though, when he then averages 87, I guess he's got a case to say, well, there was a bad wind there. Look at my average.
It can't be. It can't have been that much different to like the first game he played when he averaged 98.
Yeah, it's just a bit laboured, a bit flat. Just going.
It's something we've seen a lot in this tournament, that the semi-finals do tend to be a little bit flat in terms of standard.
Yeah, and I think deep down, Humphries hates the fact that he's world number one, but he's not the main man. I know he won't show it, he won't say it because he's too professional, he's too nice, but it must kill him and must frustrate him and suck the life out of him that he's done what he's done over the last 2 years in darts,
and nobody's talking about him.
Yeah, no, and I know I'd be frustrated, but again, I don't want to sort of say that Littler doesn't deserve all the praise he gets because he's doing silly things. But yeah, and as well, as I said a few weeks ago, I think, when I said when Bunting gets his win, he'll get a nightly win. It's probably about 7 weeks ago now. Must have been that long. I also think he was up for it more. He had that momentum.
He was riding the high of the fact that he just got his first win.
Yeah, as in he would have played everybody tonight and probably beaten them all just because he was in that frame of mind to sort of get the job done. But hopefully it's just a blip for Humphries again tonight, and that over the weekend we see what we expect to see from Humphries on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I do think we will certainly see better from him at the weekend. But we are saying this a lot at the moment. It feels like almost every week at the moment that we are saying that he has been a long way off it. But it was just a solid performance from Stephen Bunting. This one, it was not spectacular, but just did exactly what he needed to do. And again, made sure that there was no real worry at any point in the game for him.
Oh, that's exactly it, isn't it? He was just got in control, got ahead early on, and sort of from. Well, I know it got back to 2-2 actually. He fluffed his line to go 3-1 up, but from 2-2, then he just took control and hit the 180 at the right time, or hit that 140 at the right time, and just seemed very composed. As in, it was a completely different Bunting to what we've seen for the last 6 weeks, because the pressure had gone and the weight off his shoulders had been lifted. And I think he was enjoying darts again tonight, and we probably haven't seen that on a Premier League stage, because
No, I don't think we have. They're not,
because it's been such a tough slog for him, and I think the fact that he's battered the world number one would also give him a lot of confidence and a lot of belief that he does deserve to be there, even if his results up until tonight haven't shown that. So, fair play to Bunting. Did what he had to do to beat the man he was against.
Yeah. Curtis Rollins asked, does the aircon in these venues make a difference? Yes, I imagine it probably does a little bit. You've also got the fact that they are huge arenas. There's a lot of entrances, a lot of open doors. There's not a lot you can do about that. There is going to be some form of a breeze, but come on. I mean, they've been playing in them for how long now?
And it doesn't seem to affect anybody else as much as it does Luke Humphries either.
No, and yes, he uses a different setup with a longer stem and whatever, and it probably that can make a bit of a difference. But we've got to be honest. Look, he's been playing in these big arenas for a long time now. You can't just complain about it. You know it's going to happen. So either change your setup or just get on with it, because it is what it is. And if you want the money that goes along with it, you've got to go and play in these big arenas.
Well, exactly that. So, and if he doesn't want the money that goes with it, I'll happily take it.
Yes, I will split it 100%.
Yeah, I won't care about the wind. Put all the fans on. I don't care.
Yeah. It might help us, to be honest.
Yeah, as long as they're facing the table, I've got a chance, maybe.
That's it. Second semi-final, and this one, Chris Dobey against Gerwyn Price. This was back to outer ring Dobey that we've seen for the rest of the tournament, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. As in, you shouldn't really be averaging almost 4.5 points more than your opponent and losing 6-2. And yes, Price missed a lot of doubles, but he also gave himself more chances to hit the double. And I guess it's hard for Dobey in this situation as well, because you're obviously on the high of beating undoubtedly the best player in the darting world at the moment, one of the best we've ever seen, and he's only 18. And it's probably quite hard to get yourself G'd back up to the level you need to sort of play someone like Price then as well, who's obviously gonna give it a big one whenever he can.
Yeah. Max says Luke Humphries not allowed to show any emotion, so now we're going back to the previous game there. No issue with him whatsoever showing emotion, but all we ever see from him is just him moaning about the win. That's the only emotion we ever really see from him on stage. We see it week in, week out, and at that point, he's got to do something about it.
Oh, exactly, because and I'm sort of agreeing with all boxed up here with that's in his head.
Probably is in his head.
Yeah, because now he's sort of made himself believe there's a win there, even if there probably is a little win, because it's impossible to keep all the doors and everything closed and for there to be no air ventilation whatsoever. But I do think he's making more out of it than he needs to, and it's probably affecting his game because it is in his head.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no issue with him showing emotion. We're absolutely fine with that. It's just you can't just keep moaning about it and not changing anything in your setup or doing anything different. So yeah, we had our finalists. Stephen Bunting against Gerwyn Price. I think you had Gezi win. Did you have Gezi winning this week? Last week?
I think I did because he's got Luke Littler's number in the semi-final, but obviously
Yeah,
that
yeah.
won't
I
be
think you
Tom.
did. You had him winning this game, but and he probably should have done. Let's be honest. It was a new. Yeah, it was a. I don't know. I don't really know what to say about it. He should have won this game, and apparently there was a bit of a whistle on his first effort for the I can't remember what the checkout was now. In that like to win 6-4,
Yeah.
and when it came down to it, final leg, he made a mess of it from 170, but it didn't matter because Stephen Bunting took out the 107, and not only gets his first points, but gets his first nightly win.
Yeah, to be fair to Bunting, that decide 2 for 7 from 6. Can't really have many complaints with that. Had Price maybe applied a bit more pressure from the 170, it may have had a different light on that 107. But when Price broke to go 5-4 up, that's the leg he has to win on his last 10th leg, and just too many missed doubles from both of them. The doubling wasn't great, and probably a record number of breaker throws there as well. I think it was it 8 out of 11 we had breaker throws?
I think so, yeah. I think the first 6 and then 9 and 10. Yeah. Yes. Ridiculous game.
It wasn't, and I think the problem was going back to what a few people have commented on in the chat with Price giving it large for a 140 and 96 and all that.
The 96 was my favourite one. No, it's more than the 140, giving it the big one on the 96.
My theory
is... It wasn't even a last dart treble for the 96, was it? It was a single 19 last dart.
Single, so it wasn't a saving shot. It was just a last dart single. I think he was doing it because he realised how important that game was in the context of his Premier League season. Because he wins that tonight, he gains on the top 6. He gains points on the top 6 players.
Yeah,
he closes the gap to both Lukes, and he also opens up a gap to Michael, Rob, and Nathan. So I think he was trying to get himself into a place where he could erupt to make sure he got the win. I think he went a bit, not that he went too far in his celebrations, but I think he actually cheated himself up too much, that he went over the top of the hill where he's sort of coming back down and taking the thing away from Stephen Bunting, though, and he dug deep. As in, after losing your throw 4 times, you don't expect to then be checking for the game.
No.
But yeah, it was a scrappy final where doubles made us laugh, and there were a few doubling attempts from Price. Yes, there's a bit of whistling, but a few of those doubles, as in, they were on their way to Riesa already. They weren't being thrown in Berlin tonight. But
I think I'm with you, though. I think it very much was him knowing how important that game was and trying to keep himself fired up and keep himself in that moment. And I'm with you. I think there was a huge reaction when he hit the 5-5 to go 5-4 up for the 71. And it felt like he didn't quite calm down straight away. And I think he started with 5 straight single 20s in that leg. Then hit a couple of tons, gave himself an opportunity. But from 102, he obviously only left himself 59 on the first visit. And then the 59, the 2 darts at tops and 10s were miles away. Yeah. And obviously Bunting punished him. And then when it came down to the final leg again, Gezi got first shot at the finish, but didn't even slightly worry the 170. Left himself on more than Bunting still. And Bunting went and took it out. But like I say, it would have been huge this game because it would have put him on 17 points if he'd won this game, which would have given him a full night win ahead of Rob Cross in the 5th, which is a nice little comfortable spot to be in, especially when you can pick up, even if you just pick up a win, if so in the first round, if someone goes on to like Cross goes on and wins the night or Aspinall, it's not really hurting you still. You've still got that gap.
And also, he picks up that night win. Luke Humphries starts to look behind him.
Yeah.
Because he'd only be 3 points behind Humphries. So Humphries then, obviously not playing as well as he has been. Still playing very well, but not maybe looking as comfortable as he has been. He's got to look behind him then because Gezzy's coming up like a train. But now Gezzy's a full night win behind Humphries. So pressure still off Humphries for now. But Gezzy's still going to be happy with how the night's gone. As in, had you offered him Cross, Aspinall, and MVG not picking up any points, he would have taken that because...
Oh, yeah. If he walked into the building tonight expecting to play Michael Van Gerwen and been told that at the end of tonight you'll be 2 points clear of him, you'd take that all day long. And he's still in a very good position at this point, and it's not by no means a disaster making a final. Especially, like I say, it's not hurt his leg difference either. He's only lost it 6-5 in the final as well.
Yeah, I think the one thing he will be disappointed about is the fact that he's failed to win a night when he's not had to face MVG or either Luke. As in, you won't get many Premier League nights where you don't come up against any of those three. So that might be the only thing he's frustrated by, is the fact that he had a chance to really... Probably don't want to disrespect the players because they're all very good players, but an easier route to winning a night than having to play either any of the top three.
Yeah, definitely. Bob's asked, did Bunting also win the Berlin Bear? I did not see the Berlin Bear at any point. I just saw the normal trophy, so normal Premier League trophy. So I'm not sure on that. Don't know whether someone forgot it or whether that's no longer a thing. I have no idea.
Yeah, I didn't see that myself, actually.
Now, because we're so early on, I think nobody has got round to updating the Premier League table yet. So I'm going to have to try and work this out as we go along with it.
I can tell you the points.
Yeah, so I've got Bunting, bottom of the table still, but on 5 points now. Chris Dobey in 7th with 7 points. Nathan Aspinall in 6th with 10. Rob Cross in 5th with 12 still. Michael Van Gerwen now in 4th. He's the man in danger of falling out of there with 13 points. Gerwin Price in 3rd with 15. Luke Humphries with 20 in 2nd. And Luke Littler with 26 in 1st, if I've worked that out correctly from last week's table.
Yes, that's a very professional job, Cam. You got bang
unbelievable. That is very, very off-brand. But that is the table as it stands.
If you're MVG, you're quite happy with that. You've had to pull out with injury. You're still in the top 4. Oh, okay. Obviously, we don't know the extent of this injury and how many weeks it keeps him out for, but...
Yeah, I think that's the worry. Obviously, still in there despite having to miss a week through injury. But if he has to miss any more from here, with only being a point in front of Cross and only 3 points in front of Aspinall, it starts to get a little bit worrying for the Green Machine at that point.
And obviously, if he doesn't play next week, a certain man from the northeast would be happy because it means he's only minimum of 4 points behind MVG as well. So if he can play next week, I think MVG
when you say a certain man from the northeast, you mean Dan Simpson?
Of course I do, yes.
Yeah, not Chris Dobey. Chris Dobey's not that bothered, but Dan
Chris
Simpson
hasn't looked that far ahead yet. It's Dan who's studying the stats and everything. Now got the table up and everything.
Yeah. So, because it has been as early as it is, even the hardest working man in darts, the famous Mr. Phil Bars, hasn't had a chance to get us the interview in yet from the 99 champion Stephen Bunting. So we're straight on to predictions. It's time for you lot to get involved in the chat as well. Make sure that you do click subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, you won't be able to get involved in this bit. And give us a like as well while you're at it, because I feel like we deserve one. We just got the table right without even having it in front of us. That's impressive,
exactly.
really. So yeah, into predictions for next week, and we are for night 10 of the Premier League going to the greatest city on the calendar, and we are in Manchester next week. We start off with that match that we mentioned just now, Chris Dobey up against Michael Van Gerwen. We're going to predict it as if he's definitely going to be available because we don't know whether he is or isn't yet. So start with you, Carwin. Which way are you going on this one?
I think even if he is there, he's probably not 100% fit. And Dobey will be buzzing from tonight, especially that first round win. He'll now also start to think, "Ooh, am I back in the race for the top 4?" An unfit MVG is a lovely first round tie when you're sort of in that frame of mind. So, based on all that, I'm going to say Dobey wins 6-4.
6-4 for Dobey for you. I'm with you here, I think my concern is that even if he does rock up and play, he's probably not going to have practiced at all because he'll have been giving it as much rest as possible to try and get it right. I don't know exactly what the issue is with the shoulder, but it tends to be one of those injuries, shoulder, elbow, wrist, all these same sort of things that it's just something that needs rest more than anything. There's not a lot else you can do with it. So I imagine it will be sort of probably in some sort of a support all week, and he's not going to be able to practice. And then even if you rock up and give it a go next week, I don't think he's going to play his best. And I'm going to go slightly wider. I'm going to go 6-3 for Dobey.
Nice.
In the chat room, what have we got? Joel's got it 6-3 for MVG. Gordon's put the caveat in that if he's there, he wins 6-3. Dobey 6-4 for Daniel. Videosmith's got it 6-5. Greater Showman's with me at 6-3. Bob, I assume, thinks that Michael Van Gerwen's not turning up because even if he's injured, I still fancy him to win a leg. But 6-0 for Bob. Alistair's got it 6-4 for MVG. Malachi's got Dobey nicking it 6-5. MVG 6-4 for Max. And Outer Ring Dobey is what's up now, christened it from me saying it earlier. 6-3 to MVG. Into the second game of the night, and this is going to be a loud one for the walk-on, I imagine. This one will be deafening in the AO Arena. Nathan Aspinall up against Rob Cross. I'll go first on this one because why the hell not? Nathan Aspinall's not getting beat in Manchester, is he? Surely. I'm not having that. 6-4 Nathan Aspinall.
Yeah, it's a huge game, though, isn't it, in the context of the Premier League, especially if MVG isn't there. You could almost say that
Aspinall wins this game and MVG's not there. All of a sudden, there's 1 point between 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, winner
less than that, depending on what happens after that as well.
Yeah, winner of this game potentially makes it to the top 4 by by the end of next week, and the place will be rocking for the Aspers in. He'll be up for it, and
I think he needs a bit more of that because I felt again today watching him against Bunting, he was just happy for Bunting to get points. I want him fired up and I want him wanting to punch people's heads in.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, Cross does love to spoil a party. He's Bob Cardiff.
He does. He is good at that.
To make it interesting, I'll say Cross 6-4.
In the chat room, I imagine all of these are going to be relatively close scores. Joel's got it 6-4 for us. Videosmith 6-4 for Cross. Cross 6-5 for Gordon. Daniel's got it 6-4 for Cross. What else we got here? Greater Showman's got us 6-4. He put some sort of sum on his first one. I got confused. I was trying to work it out. Bob 6-3 for the Asp. Max has got it 6-5 for Cross, and Alistair's got it 6-4 for Cross, as has Malachi and All Box Up. So yeah, quite a few of them with you on that one.
Yeah, but it's one of those games where it's definitely going to be two things you can say is definitely going to be close, and either player could definitely win. As in, there's no sort of one-sidedness in
No,
that game. So
no one's rolling over someone in this.
no,
Are they?
definitely not. No.
Then we have third quarter final. Luke Littler up against Gerwin Price, the only man who has Luke Littler's number. He has won now
Why?
the last 6 in a row against Luke Littler.
Why do they have to play in Manchester though? Oh, it's not fair.
Yeah, but he's not really from Manchester, is he? He's from
No. But would this be his closest venue? I'm not. My geography of that part of the world is
this
limited.
or Liverpool. I'd say it's pretty much in the middle, in it, Warrington. It's probably closer. It's
Yeah.
closer to Manchester, I'd say. Just
Okay.
about.
So yeah,
But
and
Liverpool can have it if they want, because
being a United fan, you'll probably you'll have
he's gonna get a good reception. I mean, he
yeah.
gets reception everywhere he goes anyway, doesn't he? I'm not sure that really makes a difference in this one.
No, does he have a mayor 2 weeks in a row? Does he have a mayor 2 weeks in a row? I don't think he does. But can I go against Price? Is the question? Is the bigger question.
6 in a row is a ridiculous record, by the way, against
Yeah,
Luke.
the records are there to be broken, though, aren't they? Oh, this is a tough one.
We all know
said,
we all sat here. We know that you want to pick Gerwin Price.
You know what? Cross. I picked Cross for the spoiling a party. Price does the same. 6-5 Price.
6-5 Price. If I was Price, I would have a sky blue shirt lined up for this one for Manchester and try and get all the City fans on side at least.
Yeah.
Don't turn up in a red one and try and get the United fans on side because they'll all be supporting Liverpool anyway. Try and get the City boys on side. I've not done mine yet. I'm happy Gezzy to win this one as well. I just think he's got his number. And I think it's the only game where Littler's thinking about it, where he's not just turning up and playing with freedom. I think he mentioned it in his interview after last week when he won. I think there'll just be that little bit of extra edge where he's trying to give it a bit more. And I don't think that helps him. I think he's best when he just relaxes and plays his game. So I'm going to have Price to win this one and win it 6-4. We have got in the chat room, Daniel's got it 6-3 for Price. Great Showman 6-4 for Littler, as is Joel. 6-5 for Price for Video Smurf. Gordon's got Littler winning it 6-5. I'll tell you what, if it does go 6-5, either way, it's going to be some game to watch as well. Price 6-4 and then winds the crowd up in the semi-final. I think he'll wind the crowd up in the quarter-final if he wins 6-4, to be honest. Gezzy 6-4 for Bob. And then what else we got? 6-3 for Littler for Alistair. He's even apologised to you there, Carwin.
Oh, don't worry, Alistair. You wish me happy birthday earlier, so it's fine.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's up's got it 6-3 for Littler. Max has got it 6-5 for Littler as well. And Joel's got 6-4, and then Price sarcastically throws the crowd a minimum of 37 times. Love it. Can't beat that. Max just added to his prediction on the Humphries one and moans about crosswinds. That's excellent. Top tier. And then final quarter-final next week, we have Stephen Bunting, the newest member of the Night Winner Club for 2025, up against the man that he beat in the semi-final, Luke Humphries. Is it the same again? Do we see the same again, Colin?
I think it'll be closer. Does Bunting have it in him to go to...
I'm not sure what the weather forecast is for inside the AO Arena next week, whether there is any wind forecast, but...
There will be for this game, guaranteed. You know what? Bunting wins 6-4.
Bunting to back it up and get himself to 7 points in 4 games. I'm liking it. I'm not agreeing with it.
No, I didn't think you would.
I think Humphries plays well this time. I don't know why, but I just think he plays well. We're due a good performance from him, and that is probably not the best way of trying to pick winners. Just going, he's due a win at some point. It's just not probably the way to go, and it's probably the downfall of some of my betting at times. Gamble responsibly, as always. Yeah, Humphries wins and wins it 6-2. Bunting just doesn't back it up.
Yeah, I can see that happening as well, to be honest.
In the chat room, what have we got? We have got happy birthday, Carwin, from Alec. Humphries 6-5 for Daniel, 6-3 Humphries for Gordon, 6-4 from Malachi for Humphries as well, 6-3 Humphries from Video Smurf, Bunting 6-4 from Joel. He's with you on that one. Great Showman says there's a big breeze and the bullet glides through. 6-3, 6-4 Humphries for Alistair, and we've also got 6-3 Humphries from Bob. And All What's Up's gone for Bunting as well. Have we got anyone else? Max is in as well. Max 6-2 Humphries. Manchester fans on Bunting's back, quite possibly. The Liverpool lot never get the best of a response in Manchester. However, I think if anyone sort of can still manage to get a decent response from the crowd, even in Manchester as a Liverpoolian, it's probably Stephen Bunting.
Definite.
And speaking of Stephen Bunting, just before we get into finalists and who wins, the hardest working man in darts has done it again. The famous Mr. Phil Bars has us a clip from Stephen Bunting, so we will play that now. As ever, you will be able to see the full clip on our YouTube after we're done. But here was Stephen Bunting after getting his first nightly win of 2025.
Definitely for the first, I'd say 3 or 4 weeks. I felt it. I was crying on stage, and yeah, it's hard to when you're on stage and everyone in the venue is singing that song back to you. It's so powerful. You feel like they're pushing you back off the stage. It's an amazing feeling, and I think I said to my manager before last week, I said, I'm on a free hit now. I'm just going to turn up and enjoy it, and not put no pressure on myself, and that's what I tried to do. He even made a joke, said I looked so much more fresher and having a laugh in the practice room and dancing and stuff. So yeah, I think when I'm happy, when I'm smiling, when I'm joking around in the back room, I play my best darts, and it took a lot of pressure off tonight, and I was able to go and win the night.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, the star of the show, the Bear, did make its appearance. But yeah, Stephen Bunting, like I said, just relaxed a little bit in there, laughing, joking, and able to play his best stuff, which is great to see, and bodes well for the final 7 weeks for him.
Oh, definitely, and I think it also helps. I'm sure we all of us saw him warming up, hitting the 9 darter. When you get that and you can joke around in the back room with your fellow players and stuff, it all helps, and it's just getting that first win, isn't it? And if you sort of Dobey got that in week 1, and pressure was off him. He's probably taken a bit too much pressure off since then, and struggling a bit, but. You get that win under your belt early, and everything becomes easier. Dart is an easier game when your confidence is high and you know you can beat the other 7 players in the field. So I don't think he'll make the top 4, but I do think he's going to upset the cart a bit between now and night 16. So it's certainly not going to be a straightforward if you've got Bunting in the quarterfinal from here on in.
So now, even though we've got distracted by the Bear and Stephen Bunting, you've now got to remember who you've picked. And from your 4 quarterfinal winners, you're up first, Carwin. Who are your finalists and who wins the night in Manchester?
Gerwyn Price beats Rob Cross 6-3 in the final.
Nice. I think I'm just going to keep doing it until it happens. Nathan Aspinall. He's got a nice little section there next week, I think, with Rob Cross,
Especially with MVG.
Dobey, and potentially MVG not even being there.
Yeah.
I think As definitely makes the final. And I think Gezi makes the final again as well. And I think As, with the Manchester crowd behind him, gets over the line in another tight one, but wins it 6-5 over Going Price next week. Last chance in the chat room. Who have we got? We've got Daniel's got Humphries beating Cross 6-4. Gordon's got Littler beating Cross 6-4. A lot for Cross making the final here, along with you. Humphries beats Dobey 6-5 for Malachy. Littler beating Cross 6-3 for Alistair. Showman can't remember all of it. So, yeah, fair enough. That tends to be us half the time as well. Bam Bam Leon has got it. Littler winning it. Littler beating Dobey 6-4 for Video Smurf. MVG beats Littler 6-5 in the final. That shoulder's taking some battering if it has to go a 6-5 final next week. Max has gone for Littler beating the Ash. That could happen. It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
If it is them to win the final, it will go that way because it always goes that way. And Littler beating Cross 6-2 for all boxed up. There's a lot of people fancying Bobby Cross to make the final next week as well.
I think that's the quarterfinal, isn't it? As in the Aspinall Cross. If obviously this is with the stipulation that MVG is 100% fit, that quarterfinal, you win that, and you've got to fancy yourself to make the final. Yeah. That's the big one for me. That's a huge game in the context of the season as well. Yeah,
I think so. I fully agree with you on that one. And that is us done. So that is night 9 of the BetMGM PDC Premier League 2025 from Berlin this evening. The Bear made its appearance in the end. It left it late, but it did appear. So we will see you all next week. Thank you very much, everyone, for being a part of it. As always, you lot getting involved is what we love. Give it a like, give it a subscribe. Make sure you get as many people watching us, because the more times you do that, the more people see us and the more we pop up for. And having all you lot involved is what makes it what it is. So thank you very much, everyone, once again. We will see you all next week. I have no idea who it's going to be next week. Depends, I suppose, whether I do what Dan Simpson did this last week and sort of nick a last-minute ticket to go down and watch in person. I might be doing that. I might not be. I don't know at this stage. But if not, I will be here. Carwin's always here.
I live here.
Locked out for the rest of the year. He'll be doing these about 3 weeks after the tournament's finished. You'll still be sat here just logged in.
Withdrawal symptoms of not having a night.
That's it. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And we will see you all next week. Good night.